Hey Dreamweavers, we are in November. There's a lot going on. There's so much going on. The energy is the energy of endings. It is the energy. It's a little bit heavier. You may be feeling like you need a little bit more rest. And I speak rest. You need a little bit more rest. And I was getting the energy of the 144,000. And what's interesting about that energy, and the Bible talks about this, many people relate to being one of the 144,000, but I don't think that the 144,000 is meant to, this is just my opinion, I don't think that the 144,000 is meant to be just a exclusive club. I think that 144,000 can turn into 288,000, because I think each one of you out there who considers that, who's done the work and considers and knows that you've done the shadow work, and that you can see, especially with everything we have going on out here in this world, you can see that it's really not benefiting anyone to be selfish. And we talk about self-care, and self-care is not about being selfish. Self-care is about getting to that shadow work and doing the things that you need to do for you, and for what, so that you can now pay it forward. And I think when you look around in our society, that part of spirituality has been lost along the way. It's lost in the structure of capitalism that we live in, that there's no paying it forward anymore. It's just about how much it's about the Four of Pentacles, how much people can make and hold on tightly to. And, we just see, if you know, if you see, you see, if you don't yet, maybe one day you will, that this is the downfall. This is the downfall of society. But the beautiful thing is that we can also, for those of us who see and, and who know, who are called, right? Can you imagine if there's 144,000 of you out there, that if each of you just reaches one person in half a year, right, that you can pay it forward to, that then they can turn around and pay it forward to. And maybe you reach 2 people a year, right? It's not about one person reaching the masses. I mean, Jesus had Judas. He reached as many people as he could, and then, even he was betrayed. But I think it's about reaching 1 or 2 people a year that you can help elevate, find themselves, work through all the noise that we're hearing out here. I mean, it's super crazy. My husband just came into the room and he said, "Do you want me to turn on the news?" And I was like, "No, thank you." And it's not for lack of compassion of what's happening. If you're a Pisces, I'm a Pisces. I have Pisces, Sun, Moon, Venus. I think I have a placement somewhere else also. And I have, I'm a Sagittarius rising. So a lot of the great fire energy for me. But a lot of compassion also. And when you take a look around and you see like these corporations, how they've hoarded the benefits at the top, and eventually, right, they're gonna get stuck holding the bag. Like, what are you gonna, like, when you're holding the bag, now what, right? What happens when people say like, okay, like we're not going here. We've seen how it's not. I'm not here to talk politics, but just like the structure seems to have been used against us, but when you're awake, you can see that how the structure has been used against you, and you can find a way out. And I advocate a lot for herbal medicine, because it takes you back to your roots. It's not just about you know, it's about survival. When you're constantly told that you need to rely on somebody else, right? And I'm not talking about benefits and things like that, because sometimes you do need help. Everyone needs help. But when you're constantly taught that this is the way that it should be, that you should rely on medicine to give you like everything that you need to heal yourself, you stop, like you lose everything that came from your heritage, everything that came from your ancestors. Your ancestors did not have pharmacies, right? Like they use medicinal herbal medicine to heal themselves, right? And it was about healing. Now medicine is a lot of medicine. I'm not a doctor. This is not medical advice, but a lot of medicine. Sometimes we do need to take medicine. I've had to take medicine for things, so I'm not telling you that, medicine doesn't have its place. But also, it's more that we stop relying on our roots, on the natural things that are available to us to make ourselves better, and not just cover up, not just put a band-aid over the wound, but to actually heal the wound, right? And I think when you reach this point and you start to realize that that everybody, everything, right? It doesn't matter if you're Muslim, you're Christian, you're whatever, you're African, you're Jewish, you're whatever you are, you're Black, you're Caribbean, my family's from the Caribbean. It doesn't matter, because we're all interconnected. But when you isolate yourself and into just one belief, and I'm not saying that your belief is that what you believe is not valid. Two things can be valid at the same time. Your beliefs and my beliefs can be valid. We don't need to tear each other down because we have different beliefs. We don't need, it's a very, when I first started down my spiritual journey, right, you would think people would say, oh my gosh, like, don't, like, maybe Judaism is this, or if you're a Muslim you're this, if you're Christian you're that. And here's the thing, they all, like, all these different societies, all these people, just like all the people around us, maybe have something to give to us if we're open to listen. But you have to be open, right? You have to be in that feminine energy and able to receive what people are sharing with you. And it's not like to change your mind about anything, but it's to see that there's interconnectedness and to see that everybody's human. Everyone's human, and what one person does affects another. I'm looking at the situation now with what's going on with look, I have biblical here, and I was talking in finances, exactly. I was biblical. I was talking about Jesus, right? Jesus had a Judas, right? It's not like, and Jesus also needed money to survive, but I don't think he worried about it, and worried about where he knew, like he just had a knowing that he would get what he needed to make it work, to pay it forward. And we are, we're more interconnected than we think. Oh, this is what I was going to say. I was talking about finances. This is the download I got, that, as we're looking how things are happening, see, people thought that, okay, well, you take, and this is again not about politics, but it's about being interconnected, and how one thing affects another, and how when you're blind and you're in a bubble, like, you can't see it. You don't see until it's too late and it's in your face and you're affected, and now you're even more you find yourself even more at the mercy of the people that are hurting you. And it's like with this whole issue with the government shutdown, and many people are affected by this, right? Many people are affected by the government shutdown, the healthcare funding that's getting ready to be shut down, that may or may not pass. I don't know. I think they said that they were ordered to give out the SNAP benefits. I hope they do, because many people are really depend on that. But at the same time, you are when you take away those benefits, right? Where do those benefits go? Like we complain that the people, there's a lot of complaints that the people that are using the benefits, you know what? Like why do our taxpayer dollars have to pay for that? But the system was built to work this way, and when you just blanketly shut down one part of the system, the whole rest of the system breaks down. And what do I mean by that? Now you take away SNAP benefits. Where do people go and use those SNAP benefits? They use them at the grocery store. Who's working at the grocery store? Oh, it's maybe some of the same people that are getting some SNAP benefits, even if it's not a lot. Other people who are maybe lower income, who are not making a lot of money and need to feed their family. And by the way, grocery prices are through the roof, right? And so now when people don't have the SNAP benefits to spend at the grocery store, what happens? People get laid off, right? Let's not even talk about the fact that some people will maybe steal because they're hungry. But let's talk about the snowball effect, right? Of what happens. And then we'll see like places start to close. It's the same thing with the healthcare funding. When you've built a system that works on being funded by the government, and then all of a sudden you just randomly just shut it down, it's gonna cause a snowball effect. Some of the hospitals in the areas of people who didn't even realize this was gonna happen are gonna shut down. And I'm not here talking about politics, but I'm talking about this is to show you the snowball effects of your actions. And when you're taking swift action, that Knight of Pentacles, reckless. I'm seeing the Knight of Pentacles in reverse, just reckless action without thought. A lot of times it's no different than what we talk about here. That energy has to go back somewhere. And eventually when people stop participating, right? You remove those people. Where does all that energy go back to? It goes back to where it came from. And so the very people who were inflicting the suffering are now going to be suffering. It's insanity. And so this is why when we understand interconnectedness, yes, I'm not saying the system doesn't need to change. Maybe it does, but you can't just shut it down. Like, look what happened in 2020 when you shut things down. And now we want a little bit at a time. I'm watching the news, and we're seeing all these little things here, like the military's going out to help this area, this state, and this city, and that city. They're telling people, get guns, like protect yourself, get your gun and protect yourself. Or they're telling people to, they're inciting the looting and the stealing, because they're repeating it. That's why I don't watch the news. They're repeating it online that, hey, like this is what's going to happen. But here's the thing. What it brings on more control when you do that. That's why it's so good when you're high vibrational. You can't fall into those traps. You won't, no matter what happens, you won't fall into those traps. I don't know who I'm talking to, but somebody needed to hear that. Anyway, let's continue. I'm going to pull one more from this deck. This is a combination deck, just some cards that I've had over the years. I don't even know what they're called. Anything else for Pisces here? It's so sad when we don't realize, when we're not awake and we don't realize that. Look at the Tower. It's so sad when communal living, when we don't realize that we are all interconnected. It doesn't matter if you're here in another part of the world. And as part of the 144,000, I feel like that there's part of you that if you're called and you're answering that call, that you're called to call someone else, and you'll get someone else to answer the call, because we all have different ways that we relate. And so I may relate to you, and you may be able to relate to someone else. And at least, if anything, at least to be open to seeing someone else's point of view. And I feel like that's what a lot of you are going to be teaching others, that it's okay, that you can have, you're gonna be teaching. Here we have family. You're gonna be teaching people that it says your friends and family are central to your life's purpose, and family are who you make it, right? Like, and so it's like you're going to be teaching people that they're like, the people around you are not your not everyone is your enemy. Yes, you have to guard yourself, you have to protect. We talk a lot about that, because not everybody is vibing at the same level, right? And so the only reason is not to be mean, is to say that if you're vibing here, you don't want energies coming in and pulling you down. You want to stay in your high vibing energy for those who want to be pulled up, that can be pulled up with you, right? To get to that next level. And we need to realize also that if people are deciding to live in their bubble, I was just watching something else. I was watching something where they said they were building a community where they don't want other people like moving into the community. Okay, great, right? But here's the thing, like, you have one, like, how does a community survive with no resources? Eventually, you're going to need resources from outside of that community that are made by the very people that you don't want in your community. Like, does that make sense? It doesn't, none of that makes sense. Like, it's mind-blowing that, but if you grow up and you learn, like, this is the way that you do things, and you don't see any other way of doing things, then you just continue on. Something else that's coming to mind is that people, how we see on TV all the time, they always show you like Africa, and they show you all the kids that are starving in Africa and in these different places, how emaciated, how sick they are, blah, 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 blah. But do you know, like, many places, if you've never left here, if you've never actually been to the country, you wouldn't know that some of these places are thriving. Now with the internet, you can do a search for Nigeria, and people are traveling, and they're showing you in these places that, that's not exactly the truth. But, right, if you go and you believe that this is the only, that and there are hungry people everywhere. We have plenty of hungry people here in the United States. Come to find, right? Like, it's in your own backyard. That story that they're showing you online on TV is in your own backyard. But they put out this picture that this is, if you go to Africa, this is what you get. So guess what? You stay in your bubble, and then you'll never, like, you're just not gonna go to Africa, right? Because you're gonna be like, well, why would I want to go there? But when you it's really funny, and I this came across because I was watching a lady who said she was married, a lady from the United States who was married to an African, and she said, oh yeah, like, blah blah blah, like, this is how we grew up seeing the people from your country. And he's like, who are those people? Those people aren't from my country. My country doesn't look like that. So I mean, this is where in spirituality discernment comes in. And when you just take the word of somebody else, and you don't believe yourself, you're not tapped into your higher self, you're just gonna believe whatever anyone tells you. and that's going to be your truth, right? Sometimes you got to walk away from the chaos even when it's hard, so that you can find the light, so that you can you got to let people be in their own chaos. Just be like, yeah, this is not my fight, this one's not mine, but because there's a higher truth. It's not about being defeated. It's about not participating in the drama, in the chaos. I think I just saw a chaos card earlier. I don't know, maybe it was in the other deck. It's very unnerving, but I feel like many of you are going to be called to just want to, 144,000 of you, like I said, if you want to take that number, just reach out to one person. That 144,000 doubles. If you reach out to 2 people, right? And while you're reaching out to 2 people, that person that you're reaching out to is reaching out to another person. And this is not about, what I'm talking about is not about getting everyone to believe what I believe, or you getting anyone to believe what you believe. It's about getting everyone on a page where they're spiritually vibing high, and you can still believe what you believe, vibe high, and be interconnected with those around you, and have empathy for those around you. There's a lot of empathy lacking. And that shows up in our relationships, in our love relationships. It shows up. The competition, the chaos, right? The juggling. We show up like this with the juggling, right? We start juggling people because we're like, oh, maybe it's better on the other side. It's better. No, everybody has their shit. Everybody has their shit that they're dealing with. Looking for the next best thing, the higher thing, more money, more pentacles, right? So we're juggling, and there's nothing wrong with wanting the best for yourself, but to have it all and hoard it all, for what reason? When this stops, you have no more anxiety. But when you're in this constant state of juggling, 5 of Swords, 5 of Wands, conflict, chaos, this is what leads us to be in this energy. When you let it go and you realize there's a better way, when you start to see the interconnectedness of things, even when all the chaos is going on out there, your anxiety levels are better, because you start to realize that I don't need to participate. Fear, just like in 2020, I said, fear is what keeps people confined to a structure. Because if they can keep you, if you can be scared. I mean, I tell this story all the time. It's the weirdest thing, and who would think? Remember we had the toilet paper scare, right? And so I was running around. My girlfriend was calling me. She was like, "Oh my gosh, there's not gonna be any toilet paper." And we're like, "Oh my gosh, no toilet paper in the store." And the news was telling us that there's no toilet paper in the store. There's no paper in the store. And I'm like I still got running water. I could take a shower. Like, it's not like that bad. And I ordered somewhere. It cost me like, I don't know how much. It was way too much. And I ordered this toilet paper and then I looked, and that's when I realized, like, I ordered this paper, and I was just like, stop, like, this is crazy. And so, like, on top of people being scared, they're using your fear to generate more money for them, because then they price gouge people. You were ordering all types of things in fear that you'll never see it again, and it's not true. And if there's something that you don't have, there's always something else that you can use. You can make do. But we just think that whatever, we've gotten used to the fact that whatever they have manufactured for us to use it. We need to have it. What if you didn't need to have all this stuff? We like to have some of it. And I think this is the lesson. There's a huge lesson in this. I don't know. This has been a huge download for me. That, all the things that they've told us that we need to have, you need to buy, you need to have this car, no, you don't need it. Of course you have to have a vehicle to get back and forth to work, but you don't need the shiniest, newest, most expensive. But now it's getting to the point where they've made even the ones that are the things that aren't the shiniest, newest are expensive. You're here to spread clarity. You're here to bring clarity to those people around you, right? What if you could just order some herbs? And again, I am not telling you to replace your conventional medicine. Stop taking that's not what I'm talking about. I'm just saying that if you go back to your roots, go back to the root of things, right? A lot of the medications we take are based off of plants, the derivatives of plants. Our parents used to drink teas, a lot more tea. Now we're drinking and they stayed healthy, right? Different types of teas, dandelion, lavender, rose, all these different types of teas things that you can use to keep yourself healthy, to keep yourself more, keep your inner self vibing high. But instead they feed us these sugary drinks. They feed us, they tell us, oh, you gotta go to the store and you gotta buy you gotta buy a Kool-Aid. It's like they handed you the Kool-Aid and made you, you drank the Kool-Aid without even realize you were drinking the Kool-Aid. We drank the Kool-Aid. Everybody drank the Kool-Aid. It's time to stop drinking the Kool-Aid, right? But for a lot of us, a lot of you out here that are watching, if you're watching me, a lot of you have started to notice and have stopped drinking the Kool-Aid. If you're still watching, you have stopped drinking the Kool-Aid. And so that's the thing. When you can bring somebody else in and tell them, okay, don't stop drinking the Kool-Aid. Like, yeah, I'm not drinking the Kool-Aid. You might have to distance yourself from those who are still drinking the Kool-Aid, because you don't want to get pulled back into the Kool-Aid, right? And it's not because you don't love them. It might be people you love. It might be, but yeah. The Magician and the Nine of Pentacles and the High Priestess, yes. And the Eight of Pentacles is in reverse. You don't have to work so hard anymore. You've done all the work. There's and that with the Ace of Swords here. Let your intuition guide you to who you're supposed to help, what you're supposed to say. It doesn't matter if it sounds crazy. It sounds crazy. Then the person listening to you, it's not for them. They're not ready for what you have to say. As when people finally start to heal and start to look at themselves, that's when the clarity starts to come in. But that's why a lot of us were drawn to something different, like tarot, right? It's not that tarot is the end all be all of everything. You may have many different practices. Tarot is a tool. I don't see it as a end all be all of how to run your life. So if you're using tarot to on what your next step, to figure out what your next steps are, I mean, that's just as bad, right? Like, tarot is not meant for that. It's meant to guide you, to give you encouragement, to show you what your next steps are, where you are, give you the confirmations that you're looking for, maybe. But, and to help you see, like, also to help you see the magic that you are able, that you've already manifested into your life, that you can help others manifest into their life. I was just looking at something. It was a book on the CIA. I actually just downloaded it. And, you know, they say that Houdini and there was another guy, I forget his name right now, but, you know, the CIA hired magicians to create illusions. So imagine if you have people outside this world that have this type of training, right? That's what, and if someone's using magic in the wrong way, it's considered black magic, right? If they're using it for mind control, it's black magic, right? That's why it's very important. I love it that the high priestess and the magician are here, because, like, you're not meant to sit back and let people figure out their own magic. Everyone has magic in their life. And when we're using magic for controlling others, which we're taught from when we're very, very young, right? And that's why we get into relationships, and our relationships are sometimes failing because we want to control the other person, right? We're using all these manipulative tactics, and eventually it catches up and the relationship doesn't work, or it falls apart. You know, when you start realizing that the same magic, it's not any different type of magic. It's the same magic that you have, that you can use it and create it for good, that your words are, that energy is a thing, that pulling back, when you pull back your energy, it makes a difference. You can affect your surroundings, and where you put your energy can affect your surroundings, and when you put yourself. That's part of magic. That's the magic of life. I don't know. That was for someone. And the Eight of Pentacles was in reverse. You've done a lot of hard work already. I think that Spirit is calling you to get some rest now. Like, make sure that you're getting enough rest. Because the Nine of Pentacles is here. Life is looking good. You're looking good. Feeling good. And people may wonder how in all the chaos, it doesn't mean that everything you want, like, you have it, right? Because sometimes what we want, we find out that what we wanted is not exactly what we needed. But everything you need, you will have. I'm going to close this out right here. Sending you love. All right? I'm sending you love. Keep weaving that dream. Bye.